travel world, and welcome to Experience Travel with Katie and Allie. My name is Katie Lilly, and I am the owner of the Travel Marketplace.
And I'm Allie Schultz, expert travel consultant with the Travel Marketplace. Today we're going to experience travel with Jason Allen from Exclusively Malta. Hello, Jason.
Hey, how are you, Allie?
Good, thank
Katie,
you.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And could you introduce yourself to everybody and to your company, Exclusively Malta?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted to share the Malta as a destination. We are a local DMC for the islands of Malta, Exclusively Malta, and we're a family-run business. And we focus on primarily delivering Malta in a very unconventional way. We like to typically term it as beyond the keyhole. We've been, my brother lives in Malta, I live in Canada, so I look after the North American market where he looks after product development, research development on the island. Gives us a good 18 hours of during the day to actually, deliver the service that your clients are looking for.
Great. And can you tell everybody a little bit about the island of Malta?
Sure. Well, we're just 60 miles south of Sicily. Everybody, a lot of people actually don't know where we are, and we are not Italy. We are our own independent island. In 1964, became our independence from the British. We have about 500,000 people. We're made up of 3 islands: Malta, Comino, and Gozo, and we have 2 official languages. Maltese, which is the only semi-Semitic language left in the world, which is written in Roman character but has a melodic Arabic tone to it, and English, because the British were in Malta for over 150 years. We were able to take up the English language as a second national language. So that lends itself to very limited barriers to travel, especially when you're coming over to Europe or that part of the world. I know sometimes travelers are a little intimidated in terms of the language, but here we have no barriers whatsoever. We are very so I've got to step back. For travel purposes, we are a year-round destination. Not only are we a standalone destination, we are good for pre-post for any individuals looking to do a Mediterranean cruise or to tie it into any European or other destinations in that area. Why I say we're a year-round destination is not only that the weather is quite well throughout the year. It's about 77 degrees average temperature. But the festivals and the different things that happen even in the off season, like in January, we have the International Baroque Festival. It gives us a really good inventory, if you want to say, of experiences throughout the year that you can actually deliver Malta at any time given during the year.
And I think I noticed too that it's sunny almost every day out of the year. Isn't that true?
Yeah, we say 300 days of sunshine. January and February could be a little rainy, like maybe 8 days or so, but pretty much we have sunshine mostly throughout the year. Yes, for sure.
That sounds like my kind of weather.
Mine
Not
too.
like that here in Rochester, New York.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect for like the North American market. We always say Malta is a very cultural heavy destination. So for the North Americans, they come to Malta to really immerse themselves into the culture, use the term immerse, because we are one of the earliest, if not the first civilizations coming into Europe. We're dating back 7,000 years. We have temples that outdate the pyramids of Giza and Stonehenge by 1,000 years. So, I mean, you kind of give yourself, an idea of the real rich history and culture of Malta. And that's what the kind of North Americans are looking for. So whether it's cold in November or December in Rochester, they can come over to Malta and, bask in the 60-degree weather.
Yeah. What are some of the activities what are some activities there are to do on the island?
Yeah, we have plentiful because we are an island, like you say. So from an outdoors perspective, we have everything from cycling experiences, both assisted and non-assisted bikes. And we say that because on this sister island of Gozo, it can be a little hilly, but with assisted bikes, anybody can climb, the biggest hill over there. So we have cycling experiences. We also have outdoor experiences such as rappelling, abseiling. For family-wise, we even have we call it sea traversing, so they can go along the cliffside and take into the experiences of the sea. Everything from walking experiences and all that. One thing that we'd like to mention is we are likely the best dive location for wreck diving in all of Europe, and touted as probably one of the best in the world as well. So we have a lot of wrecks along the coastline of Malta and Gozo that beginners, intermediate, and pro divers can actually experience. We also have the opportunity.
They need to have a PADI certification for that, or
not necessarily. In some cases, for the bigger dives, they do. But we have instruction courses that they take over, a day and a half period. So that can easily be taken care of while there.
Okay.
Yeah. Outside, everything else from, kayaking, any water sports you can think of, we've got. And then, yeah. And if we don't have something, for example, put it this way. We had a client that was really interested in falconry. So we actually went out and developed a program around falcons. We have a fellow exclusive to us that has actually regenerated falconry in Malta, and now we've created a private falconry experience. So if you have clients that have some unique interest and we don't have it, ready, available, we'll create it for them.
That's great to know.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to you talked a lot about the island of Malta. And I'd like to talk a little bit about your company and what you do. And I know that you and I had a webinar where you discussed it in great detail. And some of the things that I picked up from that webinar that really, really interested me and made you stand out to me, where there's a woman, I can't remember, Lisette, that you go into her house, and she kind of goes through the history of Malta, and it's sort of exclusive. She only does that with you.
Yes.
And then there's also a friar, I believe, that you can go into his chamber and see all of those. He kind of takes you through all of those, and cloistered nuns that take you through their chambers as well, which I thought was really neat and very unique to you guys, and something that really allows a client to become a part, and not in a big group, but a very personalized way of Malta and your history.
Exactly. We've really taken it to heart in terms of the relationships that we've built on the island. And we've always said that luxury isn't really defined always by a price tag. I mean, anybody can buy anything. But accessibility and trust, that doesn't come with a price tag. That comes through, nurturing of relationships. And we've done that over the years for individuals like you have mentioned, and have now allowed us into their private homes to talk about family history. The one lady, one of the noble families in Medina, allows us to come into her private home exclusively, talk about the rich collectibles of her family inheritance, talk about the connection of her family directed from the Knights of Malta. And she's a very, humbled individual, but it's like, everybody walks by these doors in Medina and wonder who and what is behind these. And we're the only ones to take them beyond that. She even has a planning table of Napoleon when he was there during his time. So the storyline is really what's really important. You spoke about a couple other individuals, Fra John. He is the resident knight of Malta and one of two knights that have taken religious vows on the island. And he takes us through his private enclave, talks about his role in the Order of the Knights of St. John, the importance of the Knights of Malta. And, our clients walk away from that and saying, they couldn't have even imagined, that type of experience, And, you mentioned about the cloistered nuns, and, we've, going behind the doors for them, and, really understanding that they're real people having fun and playing bingo on the top of on the top, but really the connections they've had to the Knights of Malta and how the order has kept going through centuries, right down to even like private bakers that we work with, Maria, or learning the family traditions on that end, or artisans that we deal with, ones that have made Maltese bagpipes out of goat skin. And these aren't attractions. These aren't things that you could just go online and Google and say, hey, I want to book a time. This doesn't happen. It happens because the trust and the relationships we've developed on the island allows us to take your clients beyond the keyhole.
Which I think is important. I think that it's sometimes it's the experience, like the historical things and all of those things they're amazing, but it's that experience. Like I remember the first time I took my daughter to Italy, and I remember all of the wonderful things we saw, of course, but the thing that really, really stands out is we were walking up one of the winding streets in Siena, and we kind of went over this curve. And as soon as we got to the end of it, you see this cathedral. And my daughter she was 13, maybe 14, I don't remember, 13 or 14, but she just stopped and just her breath took in, and I'll never forget that moment, as long as I live. So it's those special moments that I think people really, really remember, probably more so about than the history and the things like that they're seeing is those special moments that it seems like you and your company create.
Absolutely. And Malta, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And Malta in itself, because of its, look, everybody's been through Malta. Everybody's tried to conquer Malta at some point in time. I mean, we're so strategic in the Mediterranean. We were able to take bits and pieces of every nationality or heritage that's actually come through, and we've become a real resilient nation. And the people of Malta have learned to become very hospitable because of everybody coming through. So you talk about, walking through the streets. I mean, you could go through Valletta or any part of Malta at any time during the day or night and feel totally safe. But walking through Valletta or Mdina at night, you're back in the 15th century, and it's not overcrowded, and you feel safe. And it's like, you talk about those wow moments or those aha moments, or just times where you just got to stop and don't say a word and just look around, and you think, God, I can imagine who's walked these streets before. And it's quite mystical, and I do it every time I go back. Some of the stairs are about maybe 3.5, maybe 4 inch. No, it's about 3.5 inches deep. And there's a story behind that in Valletta. Is because the knights, when they wore their armor, couldn't be lifting up their legs so high, so they had to make the steps so narrow so that they could actually climb up the streets of Valletta. So there's a lot of different unique things. And when you have the sodium light at night, and the wind breezing through our parallel city, one of the first ever in Europe, parallel grid city that was built, Valletta, you kind of like, you have those moments that you've just explained that your daughter had.
Yeah, and they really are. So I think now, why don't we take a look at this amazing island? I know that you sent a few pictures, so we'll take a look at that.
Sure.
Wow, Jason. Well, Malta's been on my travel list for a really, really long time, and I'm positive that I'll visit in the very near future. One of the things that you briefly said that I just sort of want to comment on for World War II, anybody who is a World War II buff, you were in the library, I believe there's a document that was signed by President Roosevelt, and then also you do a private, is it a cannon ceremony or something for anybody who wants that you send off is it eight cannons? Is that what it is? I can't remember.
Yeah, in Upper Baraka Gardens, they have an official salute at noon and 4 o'clock every day. Okay, so they take you through the explanation of the cannon firing over the Grand Harbor. But what we have the ability to do, similar to the special experiences we provided. Some clients come and want to do a special welcome for the family. So on the Upper Baraka, and one of the images that you've just seen, we actually could do like little canapes, kind of a little welcome ceremony, and then fire off the cannons for them, as a welcome to the family. We do have to let the municipalities know around, because if the 8 cannons go out, they think that we're going to be under attack or something like that. But speaking of World War II, Malta, I mean, if you're not a history buff, you probably don't know about it. But Malta was such a strategic part of the Allied forces in Second World War. I mean, it was right dead heart in the center of the Mediterranean. It cuts off the crossings between North Africa and into Europe. And the British naval fleet was actually based in Malta as well. So you can imagine, the amount of air attacks that we had on the islands, families living in the limestone caves. And we have tons of war shelters around Malta that people can actually go see and, touch and feel what the people of Malta actually had to endure during that period of time. But I mean, there was a convoy, the Centimeter convoy, that came out of London, the UK, into Malta with all the supplies, the artillery and armory. And if that didn't make it into Malta, things could have been quite different today. I mean, that's how important it was. Like, everybody in the islands were coming in to save this thing, because it was pretty much going to sink by the time it arrived into Malta. Tugboats, everybody you can think of was jumping in the water to help, save the ship. And, from that to strategic war tunnels to underground Valletta, you see the war tunnels there, or the cisterns of the knights. It's such a huge part of Malta's history in World War II. They get so passionate about it because there's, there's such a strong part of our history in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't wait to visit someday.
We can't wait to have you guys.
Maybe when we do our Italy trip, Allie.
Do it, yeah.
That would be a great add-on, Katie, is to add that at the beginning or the end. That would be a wonderful add-on.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to tell our viewers today, Jason, before we go?
Well, I just wanted to say that, Malta is a destination that is quite unprecedented. You're going to be floored and wowed when you come, from the people, from the food, from the safety, which is really important. Just into the architecture, the overall landscape. It's just everything that you can imagine. Like you'd mentioned, Katie, it's perfect for a tag on to an existing destination within Europe or North Africa, or on any one of the Mediterranean islands. We are likely the best connected country in all of Europe, so easy to get in and out of it. And we are definitely a standalone destination. So I mean, don't think twice about considering Malta. We're here, we're waiting for you, and we'll definitely deliver for your clients the experience that they'll never ever forget.
Well, thank you so much, Jason, for joining us today.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
And thank you, everyone, for experiencing travel with the Travel Marketplace and Exclusively Malta. If you have any questions or would like any more additional information on Exclusively Malta, please contact us at the Travel Marketplace. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep dreaming about your next travel experience.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.